Taiwan's wealth gap is widening or not? According to the government's latest survey on household incomes, the top 20% of households in Taiwan had actually 6 times more wealth than the bottom 20%. Officials said that the wealth gap had only grown 0.01 times from 2014 to 2015. But some scholars believe that the severity of the problem is actually greater than it seems.
This is Mr. Tsai, a man in his 70s who collects and resells empty cans, plastic bottles, and cardboard boxes on weekends. The amount he makes in a month might not be enough to pay a monthly cell phone bill.
几百块钱而已啦，公司我们年龄都超过了，公司又不请我们啦。
On weekdays, Mr. Tsai goes around handing out flyers. He also helps out preparing meals at a social welfare organization. Though he isn't paid, he does get food to eat and a place to stay. This small 6-square-meter room is his own little world.
能够有一个安身，不要碰那个刮风下雨就好了啊。
Ironically, a luxury apartment building is nearing completion not 10 meters from the building where the social welfare group is based. A 3-square-meter space is still going for more than 7 figures. According to past official data, the wealth gap has shrunk 5 years in a row, but according to the Statistics Office's survey of household income, the average annual income of households in the top 20% is 1.94 million NT dollars. In the lowest 20% of households, that's 320,000 NT dollars, 6.06 times lower.
103年是上下5倍的是那个是 6.05， 现在是 6.06， 只差一点点啦，就是没有讲的外界那么严重了。
The wealth held by Taiwan's top 1% only accounted for 6% of per capita income in 1981. And over the following 30 years, this only went up to 10.68% of per capita income. While the wealthy have come to hold more wealth, this isn't something that's happened suddenly. But some scholars think that the Statistics Office has made a serious mistake in deciding what metrics to use. The survey of household incomes used 15,000 households as its sample. But tax data and data from the Finance Ministry show that there are more than 6 million tax-paying households in Taiwan. The survey divided these households into 5 segments based on income, but scholars say that dividing these households into 20 groups would provide more accurate insight.
跟财税资料比起来的话，家庭收支调查它显现出的贫富差距就是比较缓和了。那过去不管是扁政府或马政府，他们不愿意面对这个真相，所以每次总是拿家庭收支调查出来挡。台湾高所得者他所得份额那个成长的曲线啊，跟英国跟美国，我想都是很急速的往右上方变动了。 那就表示台湾高所得者他所得份额累积的速度是快的。
Tax data shows that the gap between the top 5% and the lowest 5% of households grew from 55 times in 2005 to nearly 112 times in 2014. The gap more than doubled. And scholars still believe that the wealth gap is being underestimated because Taiwan's wealthiest people invest overseas in order to avoid taxes. This lack of taxation, coupled with low taxes on real estate trading, means that those already at the top of the pile can make even more. This is why scholars recommend using both data about household income and taxation in order to come closer to measuring the actual wealth gap.
It's safe to say Taiwan's wealth gap is worsening, but what's the root cause behind the phenomenon? Some experts believe the culprit may be the property tax system, which goes easy on investors' gains from property speculation.
10 million stocks are traded every second. It used to be that trading on Taiwan Stock Exchange only came with a 0.3% transaction tax, virtually nothing. In order to make money from capital gains, the government of former President Ma Ying-jeou reinstated transaction taxes on January 1st, 2013. But in just 2 short months, 2 trillion NT dollars had evaporated from Taiwan Stock Exchange, and in less than 2 years, this policy was ended.
所得税法第4条之1、第14条之2及第126条条文修正通过。
In December 2011, one of the 4 biggest property speculators, Huang Yongyi, was arrested and held incommunicado on suspicion of property speculation using other people's names, and the profit he made is difficult to estimate. He was also suspected of evading more than 2 billion NT dollars in taxes. Some have several buildings worth billions. Others struggle their whole lives, never able to buy a place of their own.
我哩吃头路啦，5万啦，我娶一个某，对，租一个厝，食3顿，有在遮嘛，上少20-30年啦。
因为赚都开都无够，袂啦欠，你都纳一寡厝税啦，搁家己咱食一粒饭咧，就拢头拄好尔。
The social group Housing Movement points the finger at the government. They say the tax system is unfair because the current land value increment tax and land value tax are calculated based on the current declared value of the land. But these figures are underestimated, leading to a shortfall in taxes and allowing the wealthy to make more while spending less.
2003年的 Q3 就一路涨，那基本上大概那个涨势应该是维持到前年的底或到去年的初。这10年来，它的涨幅大概已经超过了2倍以上，非常大量那种资产的增加嘛。那实际上我们在问说，这样的增加里面，大部分的利益归给谁？原来有高价位的房子，有非常多间房子的人。
A survey shows that the wealthier the class a person belongs to, the higher the proportion of their income comes from profits made by buying and selling land. The top 0.1% make as much as 76.27 million NT dollars per transaction, though this number too is low. The National Development Council, however, thinks that there is something else driving the widening of the wealth gap.
20%的这个比较低收入的这个部分啊，实际上大概有一半的家户呢，基本上他是没有收入的，所以它是一个非常结构性的问题，所以你必须用社会福利的方式去解决。随着金融海啸，那时候最高来到了6.30啊，所以就是说，景气不好，事实上也会造成这个所得差距跳高的一个很大的原因啊。
Some scholars think that the government's decision to allow land speculation and light taxes on stock trading have allowed the wealthy to accumulate wealth quickly without paying taxes. Meanwhile, ordinary workers earning cent after cent have to pay up. This leads to the continuation of unfair wealth distribution. It's no wonder the wealth gap continues to worsen year after year.
What has the government been doing to resolve or alleviate the structural problem? Recent tax reforms include a joint tax on sales of property and land and plans to raise property taxes. Owners of luxury homes or large numbers of properties will have to pay more. On the other hand, low-income households and the disadvantaged will receive housing subsidies and assistance finding work. But scholars say this just isn't enough.
There's no job too tough for Vietnamese immigrant Chen Yi-an. After marrying a Taiwanese man, she is now working as a translator at a well-known local cell phone maker. She gets 40,000 NT dollars a month. But in order to help care for her family, she also works as a legal interpreter. As soon as a case comes in, she has to get to work, even if it's in the middle of the night. She takes her laptop and drives to the court or police station where she's been called to translate the testimony of the accused. After she started working as an interpreter, her income increased substantially, and her working hours became more flexible.
公司需要的时候再打电话叫我，就是我直接开车出门。没有的话我就在家翻译文件，我还要去做那个通译，都是常常跑警察局。法院的话是一个案子就是1600，在警察局是2个小时500。
我们有设一个基金，这个基金里面有很多协会会去申请一些技职的训练，充实他本身的工作技能。
A few immigrants have become self-reliant through government job training programs. But their earning prospects are limited because income growth in Taiwan has been frozen for the past 20 years. Starting salaries for college graduates may have grown from 22,000 NT dollars to 27,000 NT dollars. But with that kind of salary, they'll be losing a third of what they make every month just to rent an apartment in Taipei.
大学毕业的话，我觉得有2万5就很好了。
待遇不高啊，才2万块左右啊。
因为现在钱没有那么好赚啊。对啊，因为有超过4万的应该也很少吧。
Those with low incomes further down the scale are having a hard time meeting basic needs. There are more than 320,000 people in Taiwan living in low-income households, and more than 329,000 in lower middle-income households. That's a total of 650,000 people. In addition to starting with education, the government needs to build a social welfare network to help the disadvantaged.
我进到这个低收入户的话，第一款的话，大概每个月有10618元，有学费的减免， 还有我们健保费的全额的补助，低收入款别的不同，每月会发给不同额度的生活辅助费。
Do you still remember the 2011 Occupy Wall Street movement? The slogan, "We are the 99%," shouted loudly by Americans, showed the long-standing disparity between rich and poor, and shed light on a similar struggle between rich and poor taking place in Taiwan. Welfare policies won't be enough to lessen the income gap.
均富这样的思路，那这样的话，贫富差距才应该是会被减少的。事实上是产业的转型，跟全部的人都提升这个所谓的收入，把饼做大的意思。
The whole world is working to increase production capacity and make a profit, but the economy doesn't seem to be responding. It would be better to look at things from a different angle and start from shrinking the gap between rich and poor. If the incomes rise for the poor and disadvantaged, their spending power will grow. This can eliminate the standoff between the rich and the poor and bring about economic growth.